Hi Van. So we are now moving on to lesson 4, which is writing hundredths. Okay, so we've already done 3 lessons on writing tenths. Now we're moving on to hundredths, okay, which is going to be a bit of a clue for our in focus task. So it says, this stands for 1, this whole bar. So what number does each shaded part stand for? So what does this stand for, and what does this tiny little shaded part stand for? Now it might be a bit difficult for you to see in the video, so it might be worth you logging into your Maths No Problem login and having the textbook up in front of you. Pause the video now and have a go at you can work out what they are worth. Okay, so if this is one whole bar here, remember that when a bar is divided into 10 equal parts, we call each part 1/10. So here we have 1/10, and we can write that as 0.1 with our decimal point. Okay, so this shaded part represents 1/10. What about this last little bar here? What is each box divided into? How many parts in each tenth here? So there's actually 10 parts. This one block here is divided into 10 parts. So if each section is split into 10, so each of these is split into 10, we can count in our 10 times tables. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So this bar here is split into 100 parts. Okay, so then we can see in our Let's Learn. So this part we've already said that it is equal to 1/10, okay? But then if we look at that bar that's split into 100 parts, it means that that part shaded there is worth 1/100th. 1/100th of the bar is coloured in. And we can write that as 1/100, so one part out of 100, or 0.01. So we know that 1/10 is 0.1. Now we've got 0.01. Okay, so that's how it's written as a decimal, 0.01, or we can read that as 100th as well. Okay, so 100th, 100th, 100th. So having a look at section 3, what does each shaded part stand for? It's a lot easier for me to count having this book in front of me. Okay, whatever way is easiest for you to see each section, but as long as we get it approximately, that's all that really matters. But this one here already tells us it's worth 8/100ths. So how would we write that as a decimal? Then I want you to have a go at counting this one here for section B, writing it as a fraction, and then writing it as a decimal. See if you can practice reading the number aloud. Okay, so for 8/100ths, we write that as 0.08. Okay, so well done if you got that. And this one here, we've got 1, 2, 3 sections coloured in, which means it's 3/100ths, which we write as 0.03. 8/100ths and 3/100ths. Remember that sound on the end. Number 4, let's have a go at this one. The shaded part stands for what? How much? Ravi thinks it's 10/100ths. This part is worth 10/100ths, Ravi says. Whereas she thinks it's 1/10. Who is correct? Ravi thinks 10/100ths and she thinks it's 1/10. Who's correct? Pause the video and see if you can work it out. Well, they are both correct. 10/100ths is written the same as 1/10, okay? There is actually a little 0 that you can put in here. We just don't put it because we don't need it. But actually, their value is the same because we've got 10 little parts, 10 little hundredths, which equals 10/100ths, and we've also got 1/10 because if we took away those little sections, we have 1 square coloured in out of 10, okay, looking at the red lines. So they are both correct. Right, now we're going to have a go at the guided practice. The same as before, if this bar equals a whole, the decimal represented in A, B and C. Then have a go at reading each of the numbers out loud. Pause the video now whilst you give that a go. Okay, so for A, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coloured in. So that's 7 hundredths. Sometimes it's easier to count backwards from the red line to see how many are not coloured in. I know that might be a strategy some of you have used. For B, I'm going to count the tenths that are coloured in first, because we've got 1/10, 2/10, okay, which I know is written as 0.2 for 2/10, and then I've got an extra 1, 2, 3 hundredths. So it's 0.23. We had 2/10 coloured in, and then we had an extra 3 hundredths, and if we add those together, we have 0.23. Okay, so if you want to do it that way, if that's easier for you, then do it that way. And for C, I'm going to count the tenths again, because it's quite a high number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths are coloured in. How do we write 6 tenths? 0.6. We haven't got any extra hundredths there, so if you do put the 0, that's fine. It's still the same answer, you still got it correct. If you didn't put the 0, then 0.6 is fine also, okay? So we have 7 hundredths, 23 hundredths, and 60 hundredths, or 6 tenths. Okay, that's the way that you could have read those numbers. Now it's your turn to have a go at worksheet number 4, page 7 and 8, which is attached to the Google Classroom. So this is all about the precision of you counting, okay, using what you know about tenths to count those parts first, and then adding on those little extra hundredths on top, okay? Remembering your place value, that this is our ones, this is our tenths, and this is our hundredths. Okay, making sure that you're getting them in the right place value column. Super duper important. Remember that place value grid is attached on our Google Classroom, or you can draw your own, but make sure you have the hundredths column in there this time. Okay. Any problems, do post on the stream. Good luck, everyone.